Proof.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I am so excited.
Who are you?
I'm Sandra.
Oh,
And you're Kathleen.
just, curious.
And we're Mom Proof. And we're very excited because we're actually going to be interviewing our one and only Jamie
Amelio. Can you all hear the drum roll? Go fun. Jamie, it is funny because, you're a friend and a very lovely one at that. And so sometimes I think we take for granted, Sandra, you could probably concur, that we forget just how...
I don't.
That's rude.
Just why Mom Proof is.
That's right. We're just cool. Just how much impact you've made on individuals such as us, your community, your family, the world. Can you tell us what when you first get up in the morning? I just want to start here. When you first get up in the morning, what are the first things that come across your mind before you tell us about your story?
You know what? My eyes open and I say, thank you, God, for another day. I really, really do. And later on in life, I've done that even more consciously than ever before. I was always thankful and grateful. But I think as we get older and wiser, which I'm definitely wiser. I might be a little older, but I'm definitely wiser. Just in the sense of knowing how to be grateful. So that is literally
gratitude leads
my day.
That's so cool.
100%.
And to pause quickly on your Enneagram, which we had discussed earlier in this season, does your 8 lean into that, or is that just a nuance of you, do you think? Tell us a little bit about that, and then let's definitely hear about your whole story.
It is a nuance of me. I do believe that because I'm a type A personality. I get shit done. I have big goals, big dreams. Somehow I make some of them happen. Others don't. Lots of failures along the way, which we don't hear much about those.
Yeah.
But I think I've learned with experience that being grateful is the best thing that you can do. And it didn't come naturally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was always lucky and it was awesome and I was appreciative. But I think conscious gratefulness is super important.
Well, they say that when you're grateful, then the things that you project that you're going to do actually come true because you're being grateful about it before it even happens.
Mm-hmm. Joe Dispenza.
I do visualize a lot. And I just, thank you for your kind words. And,
you're welcome.
But I will say in what I've done my whole life, my adult life, I've pictured something and then made it so. I remember standing in the middle of a rice paddy with Riley one day, pointing out at something. This was in the middle of Cambodia, saying, I'm going to build another school right here, the biggest school we've ever had, right here. And I could just see it.
And it happened.
And it's Iran High School in Siem Reap, Cambodia. It's so cool. I feel like God pushes me in that way. It's not just
neat.
me.
Well, tell us about that, right, Sandra? Let's hear about
were you always that way? Yeah. Even when you were a teenager?
I think I've always had a faith. I know I have because I was brought up Catholic, so it was ingrained in me. But I do believe that my faith got stronger later in life. I believe that I found a soulmate when I married my ex-husband. I believe that was something that I was meant to do. I met him and married him 6 weeks later. And
That's crazy.
Was married 27 years. And
not so crazy.
Changed gears,
yeah.
but 6 kids.
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, I knew I had to do something that was meaningful more than just be a good wife, be a good mother.
Because you had all 6 kids. Well, you had children when you had your first brainchild of caring for Cambodia, right? So tell us about that. How did that come to fruition? In case people have not heard the previous episodes. And plus, I don't think we've ever elaborated really. So tell us about that and then how you were juggling that, because that seems unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, Bill had always traveled. So I was a wife that stayed at home and supported what he did. He was an incredible provider, did as much as he could to hang out at home, but his job took him everywhere. So I had raised the kids, basically. Mm-hmm. And I had 3 boys. He got an offer to go to Singapore. Bronson, my youngest son, was just a year old. So we moved to Singapore. And it was there that I thought, I can't do this wife thing anymore. I've got to do more. Now, I'd done volunteer work. We lived in LA. I've been on the PTA. Oh, I don't know if we call
Shout
that
out.
volunteer work, but it is a lot of work.
Woo.
But I also worked for an organization called Vistas for Children in Los Angeles, and it was helping to find a cure for cancer for eye blindness. So
Wow.
that came to be because a friend had something that that meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
So you do that in charities and organizations like that. If you have something that means something to you, I want to help you with that.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's where I started to get my experience
Yeah.
in NGOs.
And so you're sitting there in Cambodia. No, you're in Singapore.
In Singapore,
Okay.
3 kids.
Yep.
Yes. And I decided that something else needed to happen. Started reading about different things that were going on over in Asia, orphanages in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia. I just started reading a lot about how people were giving back in the world. And Bronson was little, so he had to stay home when I went to Cambodia a couple times. And then the first time I went, actually, was on vacation.
And that's when the little girl
And
took
that's
your
when it
hand and said, "Come
She
see
asked
my."
me for $1 to go to school, and that was it. And yesterday we had a big board meeting.
Yeah,
Caring for
it's what's-
Cambodia was born out of that moment.
Oh,
I know. It really was.
Well,
Woof.
and so, okay, so in the 21 years that Caring for Cambodia has been an organization, and more than that, it's been a game changer for an entire country and families and actual people. What have you discovered about yourself? Like, how do you feel? I know you have tangible things. You got that many 21 schools, and you see it. But what else did you learn, or you know what I mean?
That's an interesting question right now, Kathleen, because yesterday in the middle of this board meeting, I've since retired as the CEO.
That's a big
this
deal.
last year,
Yeah.
but I still am very active on the board of directors. I will support the organization forever.
Well, yeah.
But yesterday, as I was listening to the executive director, which is a total badass, she is amazing.
Y'all did find the right one. It sounds like.
Yes.
Oh.
I could just see in her eyes how difficult this job is.
Oh.
I mean, you're responsible for thousands of kids, whether you realize that or not. You've made a commitment. And as it was kind of an aha moment of, man, I know how she feels. And in that moment, I remembered that so many times I would say to myself, you can do this. You got this. Don't you dare fucking give up. You've got it. Don't keep going.
Oh.
No matter what happens around you.
That's impressive, right?
You've got staff changes. You've got fighting with your husband. You've got kids that are not well. You've got shit going on, but you have a commitment that you made, and you just don't give up. So
you stuck with it. So you learned, if I'm hearing this, feel free to weigh in, like you have determination and grit that you knew you had, but it was like came out. I mean, it was like personified in yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I had to, and my ex was very good about not letting people get to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a successful executive. I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
And I think I took on a lot of that, saying, I'm not going to let that get to me. You can say what you want.
That's
and
a
every
good
time
one.
I made a decision to do something, I dreamt big. I always dreamt bigger than what I originally started with. And, that's contagious. I had people around me, volunteers, friends, teachers, administrators that would say, yeah, you know what? We can do this. Let's do it. I think when you have a leader that says, we got this, we can do it, and you lead with kindness,
yes,
it matters. I don't think I was really ever ugly to anyone, and that was always very important
I don't
to me.
think she's ever been ugly.
Oh, I can be ugly.
Okay.
I can.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I can.
So,
but it's such a big story. I could ramble on. I mean,
I know. I'm just always so mesmerized, right?
Yeah, but that's what I was asking. Like, were you always that way? Like when you were in like high school, like just going back
Was
to
that
like
grit there? Yeah,
like were you always very driven? Did your mom have to, push you to do things, or were you just like a self-starter?
I don't know that I was a self-starter. I knew I had to survive. My dad died when I was 17, a senior in high school, and I knew that I had to find love from someone other than my parents. So I kind of tried to just find it in my friends and my jobs and what I was doing and making myself feel good. And so I think that's kind of how I learned to love myself and just say, I'm good. I'm all right. I don't need everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I was ever driven enough to do big things when I was younger. I was driven enough to survive and be the little badass and like, don't feel sorry for me because I lost my dad. Don't feel sorry for me because my mom's crazy. I've got this. I think there was always kind of that edge of I can do it.
Well, you were like, right, you were at the head of things because that's huge, right? If you learn to love yourself, then you manifest the right things to come into your life, and you're not. So that was it. I mean, that was.
Oh my
your
God, I was
driving
ahead of my
force.
time.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to just ask. I mean, think about it. Do we see that integrated into a lot of people we know? Like, think about just the baseline of the humans in our lives. Like, Jamie is different. Like, I think you and I, Sandra, are learning and getting better at that. But I mean, people that have it like down already.
I mean, I think of that a lot because, like, to me, I've always admired you because you're always in a good mood. It's never a negative. Like, if we say we're going to do something, you're like, yeah, let's do it. There was never a, well, I don't know. Is that, it's always like, of course, like, how are we going to get this done? And you're very driven. And that self-love part was always like very admirable. And I think it wasn't until recently that it like dawned on me what that even was or meant, right? And how that is so important. And I don't think we stress it enough.
It is. But society really wants to tear us down. Society does not want us to love ourselves.
No.
They really don't.
No,
I mean,
not right now. It's media. I don't know what it is. Is it a good story?
Most people are, more negative than I care to be around. I'm very careful with that. Someone that's bitching all the time. And I think one of the things
Are you pointing me out because all the basketball complaining I do?
Well, I empathize.
You know how many games we have in one season?
That's a little bit much.
39, I think.
Okay,
but anyway.
But we can be real with parenting.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
it's mom proof.
First and foremost, yes. We are moms before anything. But I do think that's a big deal. You have to love yourself. I didn't always love myself all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's the me getting wiser, saying, screw it. I'm going to be okay with who I am and what I do.
That's a great
It may not
feeling.
always be, right? But, it's pretty cool through the years, too. I've seen so many people where I think I have a little gift to see potential in someone before they see it in themselves.
Good one.
And that's been very cool. I saw that yesterday when we were in the board meeting and there was a live stream of the team on the ground in Cambodia. And these are people that teachers have worked for us 17, 18, 20 years that thought they could never do a thing that are now leading
That's so
the education system in the entire country.
And
they thought they would never make it.
Are some of those students that have come through? I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, we have 85 students that have gone through the Caring for Cambodia system that have actually come back to work for Caring for Cambodia. It's just so cool, and I stay excited about it.
And you're bothered about it. Tell us a little bit about. I see that if you're watching, y'all, you got to see Jamie's blazer right now. You might need shades.
I did have
very
to spruce it up. This has been
very
such a great week.
But she's wearing Staying Bothered. So let's talk about that too.
Okay.
The derivative of like kind of the underpinning for your story in a way.
It is. And I remember sitting in a hotel lobby talking with, I have to remember this gal's name.
Now you're
It'll come to me.
Yeah.
And she said, why do you keep doing this?
For
Cambodia?
CFC, yeah.
Yeah. And I was in Singapore still. And I said, because it just bothers me. We have to do more. So then fast forward to the book that I wrote, Staying Bothered, because after going through a very tough time with one of my kids and having them go to rehab and deal with potential suicide and things that are awful that parents never want to think about, which brought me to my knees and crushed me, made me realize that you can be bothered about different things. So then I wanted to shift and be bothered about teens and mental wellness. And I'm one of the lucky ones that my kids did not take their life. So just the fact that we know that happens out there in the world way more than it should really pushed me to want to do more. So when I wrote Staying Bothered, it was about finding your passion. It's okay, and saying it's okay to have more than one. Like, I almost felt guilty, like, Caring for Cambodia needs me, but wait a minute, there's something else that's important.
That's great.
So the movement just came to be, and me wanting to share. If you're bothered about something, and it's your passion, find a way to do something about it in a positive way. So I tried to do more with that, and I'm still active with that. That's a goal, but man, that's a huge one.
Well,
what
that's
our
like
world has to contend with.
That's like an overarching kind of, theme.
It was easier to deal with caring for Cambodia and a corrupt government and a country healing after genocide and training teachers than it was to deal with my own family's heartache and process of learning. So it just became monumental.
Yeah. That's a very impactful.
That's a lot. I don't think I've ever said it that way.
That was good, dude. That was good. Well, so how do
I
you
love
feel?
my life, though.
Yeah, well,
LML.
y'all don't know about the hashtag LML. I can't do it. Yeah, look at her. So how do you foresee imparting this ability to help others stay motivated, to pick out a positive in someone and help develop it? How do you foresee that I guess either being imparted to your own kids or to others? I mean, we're doing the podcast. We're hoping people kind of catch on.
I think a lot of it is just continuing to have the conversation. And after I retired, I was completely burnt out and felt like I didn't want to talk about much with anyone. And plus, it was right after I broke my jaw, and it was really difficult to even talk. So I felt like God was saying, just be quiet, Jamie.
Just actually
be quiet.
Literally.
Yes. So I took heed to that. And the podcast has given me a different outlook on life now, and being able to do something that I love, which is parenting. Because the greatest gift I've ever had is to have been a mom. So cool. It will be, no matter what.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So at this time in my life, after being divorced and realizing that I have a different path, and being able to do something like this with friends that I love dearly, has just, it's like, do I get to do this?
Yes.
Really? So with more coming, I have a couple books in the works that I'm writing. I want to get out and talk to people more. I mean, we'll do that as we share what we do. And, you just want to help people. Now podcasts are everywhere. So if someone hears 5 minutes of, it's going to be okay, like parenting is not that bad. Okay, it's kind of bad.
Yeah.
Whatever horrible situation you're in as a parent, it's always going to get better. It will be better most of the time.
Better.
So, yeah.
I think this is super, it just makes me feel motivated. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. Very motivational. I mean, but Jamie's always been motivational. So,
well, it's funny because when we interview people, sometimes we hear them say, we may have just heard someone say, you could be intimidating. So how do you respond to that? Like someone who seems to have her whole shit together, who, all the things. How do you respond to someone who might be intimidated by either you or the concept of the change and that kind of impact on the world?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm. Glad I stumped you a little bit there.
I will say that you never know what goes on behind closed doors, or you never know what's churning in someone's heart.
That's for sure.
I make an enormous effort to be positive and be happy, because I want those around me happy. That doesn't mean that I'm always actually feeling it.
Yeah, that would be almost impossible, right? That's why I don't want people to think that that's attainable.
Yeah.
100% happiness, right? It's come on, people.
Right.
Balance.
Right. For sure. But I think the word intimidation is something that if someone feels that way, that might be their problem, not mine, because I've done what I've been able to do because I had great support, because I had a team of people that cared as much as I do, because God led me, pushed me, and I felt it and acted on it.
Yep.
So don't be intimidated by me. Just thanks for being my friend, or thanks for,
Yeah, for maybe
anyone can do what I do. Go write books.
Yeah.
Go
Sandra
make
wrote a book.
I know. Go make change in the world. So I was lucky enough to have thousands of people hop on board with Caring for Cambodia.
Cool.
But that's not to say that making change in the world isn't literally giving your leftovers to the homeless guy. It all freaking matters. And when we get on that level playing field,
right,
then I think we come to a different place of being staying bothered, and actually making change in the world.
Yeah, I think it's
good one.
I think if you just say, I'm going to do something, if you want to do something, then do it. And don't make excuses or put all these obstacles in front of you. Just do it. Or even if you just start small and it just grows before you even know it, right? But don't stop. And then the good thing is that you motivate everybody around you, your children, your friends. And whether you know it or not, you touch so many people and other people go and do other things, you know.
That you may not know
and
of.
people, but they don't come back and say, oh, I'm so grateful you're an inspiration. But, you know, but you are an inspiration because if people stay positive, then everybody kind of like you said, you have your bad moment, but you're not staying in it for very long. You know, you're working through it and you're getting out of it. And then something better comes along, right? But I think also your mindset helps you be more creative because it's amazing when you can just stay in somewhat of a positive state, then you're able to create and free your brain of all this crap that just stays there when you're upset.
You're so right. I mean, when we're negative, it's almost like you just can't move.
Paralyzing.
It is. It is. I think people need to recognize that. You can get so much more done if you look at things in a positive way. And some people will say, I'm, you know, chasing rainbows, or maybe you're not real, or somebody did you wrong. And I have a habit of being extra nice to people, probably for a little bit too long. And I've been burned, and that's hard, and it's a bummer. But you know what? I'm not going to sacrifice that. I'd rather lose $1,000 on the car than. I mean, not in the process.
Yeah,
I can hate it. And
No,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're living. You're not like faking through life. You're like a living.
I really do.
You're being. You're doing.
She's creating life.
She's creating.
Yeah,
good one.
Not just existing.
And I also think it's important, probably, for some people to realize it. I've had 2 almost near-death experiences. So when that happens, I think things shift.
That's a motivator.
So
I don't want to deal with that.
I want to be in that club.
Yeah, I don't want to be in that
club of what's on the other side. Well, so certain things happen in your life that just cause you to pause. Yeah. And then you reset and
off she goes.
Keep going.
So we may need to wind down, but I was thinking about this question before we even pull a question. Oh. But like, if you could change anything, and I know you're going to say no, but or something.
Why do you know I'm going to say no? Because I always say I have no regret.
Right. So, but I guess if you,
however,
if you could wave a magic wand and just change something in your life that would make life just bellissimo, like it could be a person, place, thing, events. It could be past, present, future.
If I could change something. So it has to, wait, past or future? Give me past or future. If I could change something in the past?
I guess so. I guess if you could, I guess it's more of a creation question even. Like, is there something you still want to do? Or is there something that you want to have done differently?
I would say just because this last week has been a lot of caring for Cambodia, things going on, and I've been in it. We're trying to close out for the end of the year and raise funds. I mean, no matter what, no matter how great we are, which we are one of the greatest NGOs in the world that have lasted this long and done as much as we have been able to do.
Awesome.
But with that said, every year we need money. So if I were to go back and do something different, I would plan financially from a different space. And I don't think I pulled as many people in as I could or should have. From the beginning or midway to help me plan for that, because so much of it was done. Yeah. Just there was only 2 or 3 of us that ran the whole organization of thousands.
That's
so
crazy.
That in hindsight I would have done differently, because I would like for them not to worry about that. Yes. I don't want to give them a hand up forever. We don't do handouts. We call it a hand up just to kind of partner along. But
I love that.
So that's a good answer. I think that would
that is just not regret. That's just knowing now what you didn't know then. Yeah.
And I would share that with someone. People ask me all the time, how can I start an NGO? What should I do? What insight do you have? Plan financially as much as you plan the mission. Yeah. It's a tough one.
And we
say that to our kids, right? Save now.
So should we pull a question?
Wow, thanks for the interview.
Yay, that was
I can't
so
wait to turn this around and
you get to pull one of these questions.
Here we have been, doing Mom Proof for a year and a half.
Yay.
And who are we, right?
Yeah.
So thank you.
That's so neat to learn more about you.
What's harder, getting your teen out the door for school or getting your team to meet a project deadline?
Ooh.
Getting the teen out the door for school. Hands down. Every one of my kids would not get up to an alarm. And I will say that Avery Catherine still sleeps through her darn alarm.
Avery.
Calling you out on it. She's 20. Yeah, how about you?
Probably, yes. I mean, I didn't necessarily lead a team, but if you consider the team the family,
Yeah.
then probably the kid out of the bed. And it's always been like the middle school time was very challenging for us. By high school, I started to see a little bit more what's the word
They're a little more responsible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing that. But I'd be very frustrated if my 20-year-old was pulling. I'd be like, I'm coming down
Don't
there.
get me wrong. She hasn't missed a class. Somehow it's just at
Okay.
home that she sleeps through the alarm.
Well-deserved, Mom.
Right.
Both my kids do not want to get up. It's definitely
I'm
getting them
surprised
out
your
of bed.
11-year-old is already like a sleeper.
Oh God, yes. But I was asleep.
Oh, okay.
There you have it.
Now.
No, but when I was
class
like,
at 5:30 in the morning.
but since I was in my 20s, I would like remember being in a class one time and they were like, tell us what your favorite thing to do is, like getting to know. And I was like, sleeping. Like I could sleep for days.
People are like, are you 17?
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
"Kinda." Well, Jamie, I mean, it's just like it sounds so corny, but it is an honor to know you. But more importantly, it's such a great blessing to have you in our lives, especially as a friend, not just like a professional colleague, but like a friend.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Well, the thing now is we have more to do in the world together. And that makes me
Yeah, let's
fun.
go.
Yay.
Thank you for
All right.
being here.
Thank you.
Yay. Mom proof.
Awesome.